Close enough to a decade ago, as I said, the World Economics Forum's summit theme centered around Nepad specifically. Now, in 2011 and with WEF underway in Cape Town, what can Nepad boast in terms of what it's been able to achieve over the past decade or so?
Thank you for inviting me. I would like, first of all, to do a very short historical contextualization, and to say that from the 60s to the end of the 80s, strategic thinking on development was not on the agenda of the African political leaders. Their main agenda was about political liberation. And then came the structural adjustment processes, which emptied the content of sound public policies, even if structural adjustment was necessary in order to restore macroeconomic stability and good macroeconomic indicators. Nepad is formulated at the beginning of 2000s as a response to the marginalization of Africa, putting in front two simple values. The first value is, how do we design owned strategies, development strategies? And the second value is, how do we integrate regional integration as a key factor for development? And the two main priorities, which were from the beginning put in front, were agriculture and infrastructure. In agriculture, in the last 10 years, we have been able to design what we call CADEP, the Comprehensive African Agricultural Development Program, for one simple reason. There was a policy gap in terms of agricultural policies. CADEP filled that policy gap, and today we have over 20 national investment plans in agriculture, which have been formulated through the CADEP methodology. And the second priority was infrastructure. And by working very closely with the African Development Bank, we succeeded in making understood that infrastructure had to be tackled regionally.
Yeah.
And that's how we implemented STAP, which was the short-term action plan in infrastructure. And the African Development Bank was a key actor in the implementation of STAP. Two main obstacles in the last 10 years. The first one is, we didn't open ourselves sufficiently to the civil society, and we didn't open ourselves sufficiently to the private sector. So the challenge we have today is to revitalize the Nepad program with an opening to these actors coming from the civil society and the private sector. And this is one of the issues we are looking at the World Economic Forum, in seeing how we can best optimize the partnership between governments and the private sector in developing the African agriculture.
So if we get a bit specific there, Ibrahim, I mean, what's the plan when it comes to mobilizing private sector investment in agriculture, for example?
Well, you see, let me just give you one example. Brazil is the second world food producer, right after the United States. 80% of the production, the food production of Brazil, is realized by small-scale farmers. These small-scale farmers have been transformed with the support of the Brazilian government and the private sector in entrepreneurs. If we want to develop the agriculture sector in Africa, we have to look at agriculture as a business, not as a classical development issue, but as a business. And what does it mean concretely? It means that there are areas which are linked to seeds production, which are linked to value added factors, which are linked to construction and rural roads, which can allow a better access to markets from the producers. So agriculture has to be seen as a business. And in the national investment plans of agriculture that we help the countries design, there are specific areas where an intelligent partnership can be